I'm Jim Klug, and 25 years ago, I founded Yellow Dog Fly Fishing. In the simplest terms, we're the premier travel and booking agent for the world of fly fishing. We help our clients make informed choices based on their interests and abilities. We check in with them and stay with them throughout the process, answering questions on everything having to do with weather, equipment, the right flies, travel logistics, and of course, fly rods. Over our many years in travel, we notice that all too often our destination anglers were either misguided or poorly equipped when it came to outfitting themselves for different fisheries or far-off destinations. Oftentimes, items like specialty fly lines, the right wading boots, proper luggage or terminal tackle, and of course, fly rods. People struggled to find the right gear for non-local waters and far-off destinations. With more than 25 years in business, Yellow Dog has become the largest booking agent in the industry. We're always delivering detailed packing lists, great video resources, podcasts, and access to an incredibly experienced team of the best program directors and destination experts in the industry. But even with years of growth and success, we realized that there was something still missing from our overall lineup of services. The ability to directly outfit and equip our clients and all traveling anglers with the right gear, equipment, and flies for every destination that we offer. Which led to Yellow Dog's expansion into full retail and e-commerce services. We now have the ability to provide all of the right gear and equipment for your time on the water. Come on, let's go. So to better serve you, we decided to create a unique event and this video. We call it the Yellow Dog 5-Weight Invitational. Now, a true analysis and invitational must be honest and fair. To do this, we've assembled a team of non-affiliated, independent professionals. We sat down with this team and made a plan of how to create the most objective rod review possible. Our plan includes 3 days of thorough evaluation with each and every 5-weight in the lineup. Day 1 will include applications and characteristics for streamer rods. Day 2 will be dedicated to dry fly rods. And Day 3? Well, Day 3 will be on-water testing to evaluate nymphing applications. The team we've assembled is truly the best of the best. 3 casting professionals that are among the most respected names in the industry. First up, we have John Juracek. Juracek is a renowned fly fishing casting instructor with over 40 years of teaching experience. He has taught fly casting both privately and at esteemed fishing schools throughout the country, including the Anglers Academy and the School of Trout. Next is Whitney Gould, an internationally acclaimed fly casting instructor, guide, and 7-time Speyorama World Casting Champion. And finally, we have John Hudgens, a distinguished fly fishing guide, instructor, and the founder of the Anglers Academy, an incredible school that aims to provide anglers with comprehensive education from some of the most respected figures in fly fishing. We've put together an aggressive and thorough testing and evaluation plan, which is how we ended up here at a Montana middle school. The streamer course is designed to evaluate fly rod performance using casts commonly made by streamer anglers. Each caster is equipped with rods that have been lined with manufacturer recommended fly lines. We then added the 7.5-foot 3X leader and a size 4 zonker. The course begins with standard overhead casts at 30, 40, and 50 feet.
Okay, a little wind, Carter.
Then repeats those distances with simulated wind situations created by large drum fans. Casters also perform reach casts and Belgian-style casts at 30 feet, both with and without wind, to test rod responsiveness and line control under varied conditions.
Belgian cast, 2 planes. Off to the side, up over the top.
During each casting scenario, the team records their impressions and assigns a score from 1 through 5. These individual scores are then totaled to produce a final overall score for each rod in its respective category.
See how this does.
8 hours later, We sat them down and listened in.
All right, you guys, so took part in a little 5-weight rod invitational here. Direct comparison of 20 different fly rods, for all 5 weights today. And I thought it was a very interesting day. Direct comparison of 20 rods side by side, one after another, thinking about what is this rod designed to do and how well did it do it? And we based our decisions on our analysis on what the designers told us the rod was intended to do. And I think that's a really, really good way to evaluate a rod. What'd you guys think?
You know, I've fished some of these rods in the prior, and I've never really thought about them in the way I did today. I've just taken them out of context and have them in my hand and really cast them with the idea of what they were designed for. So for me, it was really important and interesting.
It's sort of interesting to me that some of these rods, the designers specified, okay, this is built for true to line weight, a true 5-weight. Others half a line heavy. Others a full line size heavy. And so in a sense, I think, well, are we really evaluating 20 different 5-weights? Or do we have some 5.5s and 6s mixed in there? And I think it'll be interesting to see what the results were.
Right.
How we feel about all
Right,
that.
I agree with that comment. I will say this. There are a few rods that you got in your hand that you're like, oh man, the cork feels good. I like that part. And then you wind up and throw that first shot and you're like, yeah, this rod's going to score well. There were some, for sure. I'm guessing that we were very critical of the rods. And so a 5 was impossible to get. I'm guessing that, you guys.
I think a 5 is impossible to get too.
Yeah.
Because if you assign a rod a 5, which is our maximum score, you've said this is as fine as it can possibly be.
It can't be better.
Can't be any better. And if you think that, then what are we left with? There's nowhere to go.
Right. So I think in this group, and I don't know what happened here, when we open these books, I don't know what's going on, but listen, I didn't score a 5, I can tell you all that.
I didn't either.
I didn't score a 5, and I didn't score a 5 just because I thought that was the ultimate, because I didn't find a rod that even came close to deserving a 5, honestly.
Well, we just did the streamer round. Tomorrow we're doing the dry fly round. And then the next day we're on water doing nymphing. So this is just a little small, well, it's 33% of the action, I guess.
Yeah, we did 20 rods today that were characterized as all-around rods.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
All around for us means, hey, we're going to do a little bit of everything with it, right?
Right.
We're going to nymph fish it. We're going to streamer fish it. We're going to dry fly fish it. So today we did a number of drills strictly with a streamer. All right, so we've got
Okay.
some results, you guys.
All right, here we go.
Well, let's find out. I'll lead us off. And now I want to make a point that we all have all cast 20 rods today, and we have scored every one of those rods. But right here, we are only going to discuss the top 5, whatever they may be.
I'm excited about this.
Let's find
I
out.
think I know the top 3, but I don't know. There's some variables out
You
there.
don't know. You don't know number 5.
Yeah, no, you don't.
All right, coming in at number 5, the Sage R8 Core.
Wow.
Well, I knew it'd be in the top 5, but I thought it'd rank better.
You did.
I'm going to flip to my notes here, and I think I ranked that rod a little higher than a 5.
Well, let me tell you what the criteria were against what we are judging this rod on. So here's from Sage directly. The R8 Core was designed as an all-around tool that can do everything well, hence our use of streamers today. So dries, nymphs, streamers, with a very slight underline on the dry fly fishing part. Fair enough. For the angler looking for an all-rounder that shines the most with dry flies, fast action is great for fishing out of a moving boat and casting a variety of sizes of dry flies. So I get from that, hey, they might want this rod to focus a little bit more on dry flies, but nonetheless, it is an all-around rod that can do everything well.
Adaptable. And for me, I found this to be easy to be accurate with. I found a little vibration in the rod. The only negative I found was a little vibration in the rod.
Vibration, how so? At
Oh.
a certain distance, or?
Probably at all, because I didn't particularly look at a distance on that comment. I thought, wasn't a dampening factor on that rod as much. However, it didn't affect my shots at the distances we took.
Whitney?
I thought it did everything it was supposed to do. I found it to, I guess I didn't feel, I kind of lost a lot of feel to it in some ways.
Sure.
Yeah, so that's why I scored it down a little bit, because it didn't give me much feedback when I was casting. But other than that, I scored it consistently all the way through, because it was a consistent rod, as you said. So speaking in your points, I agree with pretty much everything you said. I didn't go as high as you did because I didn't feel like it was very special. It felt like it was very similar to some of the other rods. It didn't separate itself at all. I think if we'd gotten down to a lighter fly, maybe I would have a different experience. I don't know, I haven't done it yet. But the true to weight fly line, I wish I had heavier fly line to throw that heavier fly to give it a little deeper load.
I gave it a fairly decent evaluation. I'm going to go back to the design parameters. Sage told us that this is a rod that could do everything well. That means it should throw a streamer well. Well, I thought it did a fair job at 40 and 50 feet, a better job at those distances than in close.
Sure, I reflect that too.
I really wish the butt and midsection both were more involved at all distances.
Absolutely.
I just felt like the rod was a little bit uncommunicative, especially in close. It was really hard to feel what was happening with it, and I think made for a slightly less pleasant experience casting it. A couple of comments on the rod itself. I thought that the grip length was good on this rod. Some of these grips on these rods are too long. They're an inch or an inch and a half too long, and we lose some of the action of the rod because of that.
Dampens it.
The reel seat on a lot of these rods is way too long also. This reel seat length is pretty good, both aesthetically and functionally. You get that long reel seat off the back, guess what? Loops of line hang up around that. You might break a fish off. I think they came reasonably close to their design parameters.
I have a note in here, easy to be accurate, and I found it to be easy to be accurate. Yeah. I wasn't trying that hard. I just went through the motions and it floated in there.
Yeah, they accomplished their goals, I think, by and large.
Yeah.
And I want to hold a little bit of that evaluation off for the dry fly and nymph part. Again, we cast only streamers with this rod, and so I think I look forward to evaluating it with the other categories of flies.
Here's number 4, you guys.
Oh, good. Please tell.
Oh, I can't wait.
Number 4.
Hope this is a surprise. It is a surprise because it's a Scott session. I would have ranked this much higher than number 4.
Scott Session.
Yep. Let me read off what it was meant to do.
4, please.
Flick over to number 4. Scott said this is an all-water rod designed to be a medium, fast-action rod, built in the USA. Great nymph rod along with sensitive tip for light tip at work. I didn't get that brick at the end of the line feel with this, where you're throwing that heavy weight and boom, you hear that, you feel that pull.
Brick on a string effect.
Yeah,
Right.
I did not feel that, so that was pleasant. I connected with the rod all the way through. I thought it was above average. I just wish it bent through more of the bottom end of the rod, but I ranked it pretty high. Yep, does well. I thought Scott's rods all the way through fished pretty well, and I don't know if this is my highest ranking Scott, but I'm not surprised to see it in the top 5, put it that way.
I really said it was the first time I was able to relax casting.
Yeah.
So and I think we cast it pretty early on.
I think when we looked at that deflection board, you could see that this is a pretty smooth rod. maybe not truly medium, very smooth, and you would guess it was. It felt good in hand.
Yeah.
The diameter of it, the contour of it, it has a little flare where your thumb sits, and I like that, having a little bit of a backstop there.
Oh, yeah.
Especially casting in the wind where I want to really accelerate that rod a little more. That provides a nice little backstop for the thumb, and I think that's a really nice feature of that rod. I gave this rod pretty high marks for casting in the wind.
I did too. I actually rated it higher in the wind.
Yeah, I did too.
I did too.
Part of that, at least for my way of thinking, was in the wind I need more acceleration. I've got to move this rod faster. And when I did that, I thought the rod communicated with me a little better.
It did.
I had a better sense of what's going on with it, and a better sense or a better ability to control the rod.
But this one did well when you want to speed it up a little bit. Handled it well. We're up against that a lot in Mother Nature.
Yeah, I made a note that I thought that this rod was smooth overall through the whole range of distances.
Yep.
And I can't say that about a lot of those rods.
That's exactly right.
Many of them got really tippy out at 50 feet and in the wind, and were quite unpleasant. Not so with this rod.
Right.
I do want to note that this is a rod that's a half line size heavy.
That's where I judged it, because like it wasn't quite what they said it was. It was more of a faster rod. But it was a fast rod with some soul, I mean, with a feel to it. So that's why I liked it so much.
Yeah, actually, as I think about it, I thought it would be higher than 4.
Well, I
It's a
knew
nice
it'd be in the
smooth
top
rod.
5.
I knew it would be in the top
I knew
5.
that one's going to be
Yeah.
in the top 5.
Yeah, it's a nice smooth rod.
Okay, number 3.
Here we go.
Excited about number 3.
Yeah.
The top 3, the podium.
Here we go.
Yay. Okay.
I don't know what number 3 is going to be. I don't know.
I do.
You do?
Do you?
Yeah.
You want to enlighten us right now before she even opens it?
No, let's open it.
Wow. I wouldn't have. It's the Thomas
It's your
and
rod, isn't it?
the Avant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like this rod. The
You thought that'd come in first, didn't you?
No, I didn't,
You didn't.
but I did like it. I thought it would be in the top 5 also. So there is no
I knew
surprise
that.
there.
I thought that happened too.
Yeah, I like this rod. I liked it.
With the ability to handle small streamers, nymphing with indicators, and long leader dry fly presentations, it is an intuitive, easy-to-cast rod that is a jack-of-all-trades workhorse. This rod excels within the average trout fishing distances from 20 to 60 feet.
I like that.
That's the criteria they set out. Again, all we have done with it is cast streamers on it. But that's right in here with their design parameters. What did you think?
Well, it's a half-size heavy line on it.
Yeah.
I thought it was light in hand, and it was fast as they described. I could be quick and accurate with it, and again, I found the rod, I wish it would have bent further down, but I found it fairly smooth. I loved the grip. I thought it handled longer casts and shorter casts just fine. I ranked it high overall. Wasn't the highest rod I ranked, but I gave it good scores the whole way through.
I like the fact that it was fast. I mean, they said it was a fast rod, but it didn't give up on any of its feel.
Yeah.
And I fast with this, and I felt the tip was stable. It wasn't like the feel didn't come from too loose of a tip. It came from an actual bend in the rod.
Yeah.
So that's why I liked it. Light to hand and easy to cast, I felt, for a fast rod.
Okay, I want to touch on the grip again. I thought this grip was very nice too. Not only the diameter of it, but the taper, the contours of it.
Yeah.
It felt good in hand. I did not like the reel seat. That reel seat is too long, like so many of these rods, both functionally and aesthetically. That reel seat needs to be shortened like so many of the others do.
I wish I would have looked at that deeper. I probably would have agreed with you. I just didn't make that comment. What we're not discussing were some of the negatives. And some of the negatives are when you feel that jerk at the end of your line because your rod's so stiff, you're not connected with it. And when that comes back and pulls on your, that's not a pleasant feeling. We can work with it. Shit, we can always carry that line out to where we want it to be. but we're working really hard and it's not very romantic. It's not great in our hand.
Right.
And the rods we're describing in the top 5, especially this rod, we would say was smooth and absorbed that weight.
This is a rod that the manufacturer said we're going to use a half-size heavy line on it. So again, this is one of those rods that, to me, it's sort of nebulous. It's not really a true 5 weight. It's more than that. It might actually be a really nice 6, and I wouldn't be shy about putting a 6 on that.
Yeah,
See
it'd
what
feel
happens.
really good.
I think it might provide us a little more feedback, and we might enjoy it even more.
Right. They did a nice job at least lining it up half size.
Yeah, yep. So that's our number 3.
Yep.
You guys were down to 2 rods. I don't know what number 2 is. I have a sense of what 1 might be, but I don't know about 2.
Winston's not in there yet.
Let's find out. Rod number 2. Wow. Winston Air 2.
Wow.
Wow, there it is.
Winston Air 2.
I knew it'd score well.
I did too.
I just didn't know it'd be 2.
I figured it to score well too.
I knew that'd be in the top 5.
I did too. I called it the sleeper.
Winston Air 2, the multi-application fast action workhorse in the lineup. The 905 Air 2 is built to handle roll casting a nymph rig, gently presenting a dry fly, tucking a hopper under the bank, or turning over small streamers, which is exactly what we did. Slightly stiffer and faster than the Pure 2, the Air 2 excels in a wide range of casting distances from 20 to 60 feet. It is a true to weight line on it.
It's a true 5.
True 5.
In theory.
Yeah. I thought it was a true 5. It felt good in the hand. It felt light in the hand. It was smooth. I felt it was very smooth.
I actually raked very few rods in a 4.0, 4.5 category. Very few. And in this one, I had some 4s and had a 4.5 here for me. And those came out on the longer distances. I thought it could be even better, shorter, but it performed well short too. However, it wasn't so much that way that I couldn't control my accuracy and I couldn't handle longer lines. I handled longer lines really well with it.
Yeah.
It's funny, I think that the grip on this rod is very good. The diameter and the shape, both. I thought it was very pleasant in hand. The reel seat, of course, is too long, as on almost all of these rods, both functionally and aesthetically. And I know I'm railing on that, but I don't know what these rod designers are doing looking at that thinking, yes, this is aesthetically pleasing. This is how it should be. And I don't want that loop of line jumping up behind that reel seat and breaking a fish off, because that happens. But with that said, I thought the rod felt very light in hand. It is a fast rod, just as they set out to design. They got it. But I didn't think it was too stiff. It still provided pretty good feedback. And
Yeah.
I'm anxious to try it with nymphs and dry flies and see. You know, they're talking multi-application rod here. It's a workhorse. And I thought it handled the streamers as well as could be expected for a rod that isn't built strictly for streamer fishing,
Right,
right?
Yeah.
right. Okay, here's our...
Hang on.
I can't handle the suspense.
If I had to guess prior to this, I was going to think that the Winston Air 2 would be our top rod. So it's not. It came in number 2. I don't know what number 1
I don't
is.
know what number 1 is. So number 1 on the streamer course,
I bet it's the Redington trout.
it is going to be the Reddington trout,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Really?
It is the Reddington Classic trout. It won the streamer
Yeah.
competition.
Reddington Classic Trout.
Yeah.
It's designed to be highly versatile. We found that to be true in this session
Okay.
at an affordable price, and the moderate action provides the delicacy and accuracy needed for technical dry fly scenarios, yet it packs enough power for big river and boat fishing. The lightweight blank, forgiving action makes it perfect for anglers of any experience level. And I guess we found that to be true. It was paired to a true to weight line, so it's a true 5. and I'm going to flick to my notes. I recall being this in the top 5. I did not know it was going to be in the top 1.
No, I would never have guessed that to be number 1.
No, neither have I. But for a streamer rod, I felt like it. Then that's what I judged it on.
Absolutely.
I judged it on as a streamer rod.
What I found is you can hammer on it a little bit.
Yeah.
Because when in the wind, we know, now we're not bringing our rod back. We know that's a common fault. But we've got to speed the line up and hammer on that rod. That does not mean opening your loop up. It just means, giving it a little bit more enthusiasm through your stroke. And when you did that, the rod reacted really well to it. So actually, fishing in the wind gave it more points than fishing without wind.
But it is, I'm going to point out, for a streamer rod, it is in the whole thing, it's the only moderate action rod we had.
Yes, it was.
And so that's, I think, why it's probably, for me, it scored so high.
Yeah.
Because throwing big, heavy flies, you want a little give.
I did find it to be better, shorter than longer. So the few rods that I scored higher on the shorter shots, the more common casts. And then as I got out long, I scored it slightly lower, not low, it's still above average, but lower than on the front end. It's the only rod I've ever ranked that way.
I'm right there with you on that. This was the most pleasant rod at 30 feet we cast all day, I think.
Yep.
And I scored it high in close, and at 50 feet, I knocked a little bit off of it. Just because I felt at 50 feet, the overall flex, the action just started to feel a little loose to me.
It did.
It wasn't as unified as
Right.
it possibly could be, but nonetheless, it is a moderate action rod, which I really enjoyed casting a streamer with. It just made it a more pleasant experience. We avoid the brick on a string feeling that we all know too well. I thought it communicated pretty well because it does bend. They say that the forgiving action makes it a perfect fit for anglers of any experience level. I think there's a lot of truth in that. It is a forgiving action.
Yeah,
It's less demanding than a lot of these other rods.
I agree.
So I think that so far at least with the streamers, they have accomplished what they set out for it.
So that wraps up day 1 of 3. Today was the streamer category. We came down to top 5 rods with great scores, impressive results. Now that being said, it doesn't mean that one of these 5-weight rods is going to be the perfect rod for you. Just like a pair of skis or a good mountain bike or a high-performance golf club, everyone's going to have a different feel for each one of these rods. It's important that you figure out how these rods behave and perform for your own abilities and for what you're looking for. Now, what this process can do is help narrow down that list so that you have a good start on evaluating what the right 5-weight's going to be. All of these scores for every rod that was rated in the streamer category is available at yellowdogflyfishing.com. Check it out, look at the notes, look at the numbers, make a great decision for yourself. Day 2 is dedicated to evaluating dry fly applications for 5-weights.
3, 2, go.
This course is tailored to mimic the demands of technical dry fly fishing, allowing our evaluators to test and judge presentations similar to what an angler might experience when fishing dries on spring creeks or tailwaters. Once again, all of these rods have been paired with a specific fly line that each rod manufacturer has recommended. Casters begin by making standard casts at 20, 30, 40, and 50 feet. They then repeat the sequence in wind situations simulated by large drum fans. Each rod is evaluated for specific dry fly techniques, including pile casts, reach casts, and false casting at a set distance of 30 feet.
Okay, here we are on the dry fly course with the Scott G Series rod.
G Loomis NRX Plus.
All right, let's see what we're up against here. Sage Classic R8.
All right, here we are with the Scott Centric.
So this is the Winston Pier 2. This is the first time I've cast this rod.
Do I wish it bent a little more? I do.
Casting it right now at 50 feet.
The rod is light in hand, there's no question about that. Partly due to its stiffness. 6X tippet all day. Another fast rod. Like the Helios 905D, but a touch softer. Fair enough. Let's find out.
After a long day of casting and testing, our team handed in their scorebooks and we tallied the numbers for the top 5 rods in the dry fly category.
All right, you guys, look. This is day 2 of the 5-weight invitational put on by Yellow Dog. We cast 24 different 5-weight rods today. And I think it was an amazing chance, personally, to get really caught up with the status or the state of where 5-weight rods are from a lot of builders. I think we know now, right now, as much about the various 5-weights that are out there as maybe anybody around, because we'd had a chance to cast them so thoroughly today. So I think that's pretty cool.
I think it's really cool. It was
Yeah.
interesting to see how much closer they were today than they were yesterday in terms of scoring them and casting them and evaluating them.
One of the things that I wasn't aware of last night, we didn't really talk about it, but was how closely those top 5 rods scored. Mm-hmm. And how close, the next 10 below that were. Mm-hmm. There was not a large difference between those rods. And I think today, because so many of the current rods are fast in action, I think today there's going to be very little separation between a lot of those rods too. Like they're going to be jam-packed together with very close scores. Mm-hmm. And so I think okay, well this rod is number 5, but guess what? Number 10, number 15 even, might be just a couple points below it. Mm-hmm. I think it's worth pointing out again to the people that are going to be viewing this that this is not just us 3 here subjectively evaluating these rods. Well, Whitney liked it and you didn't, I thought it was okay. What we're doing is we are evaluating these rods against the design parameters set forth by the rod builders themselves. And I think that's a really important distinction from other rod evaluations that have been done. They told us, the builders told us, this is what this rod is intended to do. This is how it's supposed to fish. And we are attempting to judge the rods against those. It's not just whether we like it or not. So I think that's a really important thing to point out. One other point, so these are in theory all 5-weight rods. But look, there's no standardized scale for evaluating that. If you think this is a 5, you can write that on the blank. Whitney thinks it's a 7, she can write that on the blank as the manufacturer. So there is no standard there. And there is a little bit of subjectivity involved in determining, well, does this really accommodate a 5-weight line? Is this suitable for it? Or is this really a 6-weight rod or a 4-weight rod? And so we have had to use our own sort of experience to determine that. But I think a lot of the rods today that we cast, because so many rods today are fast action, I think a lot of those rods would actually have been better suited with a 6-weight line.
Absolutely. I know 2 or 3 of them stood out and in my comments that I think was mislabeled. This rod would have performed better with a 6-weight line and been called a 6-weight rod.
I watched you guys cast a little bit today, sneaking glances here and there. And when you guys were womping that line out with those stiff rods, blasting it into that headwind, I thought, they're getting some serious line speed here. Your lines, I thought, were almost moving fast enough to slice through the bonds of space and time.
Mine just a little bit faster.
Just a little faster, yes, of course it was. But line speed is viewed as like holy grail, right? Like, this is a fast rod, this thing is gonna just blast your line out there, but that's only just a part of it, a small part of it. And that line speed comes at the expense of our arms and wrists, right?
Yeah.
Those rods are more taxing on us physically.
Yeah.
And we're experienced anglers.
Yeah, and that goes back to my point about being able to enjoy the day and find something that you can groove and feel comfortable and relaxed with. You can't relax with a fast action rod as a beginner. You've got a tight grip, you can't feel it, it hurts the arm because it vibrates. It's like casting a broom. It's like throw a broom, you feel the pain in the hand. Yeah.
It was hard.
Yeah.
We did split hairs. However, we did came up with a rod. Number 5, Scott G Series.
Well, I knew it'd be in the top 5.
I did too.
I had a feeling it would be too. Yeah. Yeah, Scott G Series. Let's see what we said about this rod. Number 5.
I have it on second page here.
Yeah. Well, let me read you guys what the rod builder told us. Scott says this is a dry fly only presentation series. Light tippet specialist. Internal ferrule makes this series fish more like a one-piece rod. Flex and power through the whole rod. All USA made. They thought the rod should be lined with a true to weight line. So this is their dry fly rod. That's what they're telling us.
I had all positive reviews here. I thought it was excellent between 20 and 40. As I reached out to 50 feet, it was one of the few rods I needed to use a haul to accelerate line to 50 feet.
You did.
I did need a haul, and I noted that. I think it was one of the few. Now, it was also one of the softest or medium action rods we casted today.
Any observations that were counter to John's?
Not really. I felt like, overall, I mean, in all honesty, I cast this rod twice because it was the first rod I cast, and I felt like, my first go around with it, I didn't feel like I'd given it the fair because I was tired, and that's why I asked for it again, because I was just like, I need to really. And the second evaluation was pretty similar, and I was like, yeah, it was a good rod.
But no question about it, it had a very reasonable feel throughout all distances. No problem pile casting, reach casting, none of that. In the wind, I thought it handled well. In fact, this is a rod I scored higher in the wind than I did when things were calm. That's sticking on water. They met the design parameters. Yeah.
Whitney, go ahead.
As nervous as you are, you've got to do it. We're nervous too. What would the number 4 be? What is it?
Reddington Classic Trout.
Oh, wow.
Well,
Number 4.
Number 4.
So this is a 147, and number 5 had?
We're talking a 1-point difference between these two rods. 1 point, which is nothing.
Right.
Considering that we did 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, we did 13 different drills with these rods. And these two are separated by 1 point. And I think that speaks to what we were talking about earlier, right? A lot of these rods are very, very close to one another.
Yeah.
Where I started to see it fall apart, and I wouldn't say fall apart, but rank lower, would be at the longer distances. And that's exactly what I had to say about the Scott G series. And but 20 to 40 feet scored extremely high.
Yeah, I didn't have that experience.
I had it at 50 feet, I had a little lower store.
Yeah.
Do you think that the rod helps you in the wind?
I do. I feel that action itself was, I could feel it, I could time it, I could see the bend, and I knew where to stop over my target, so that would, I could see that. I could visualize it and I could feel it.
So they say it's designed to be a highly versatile trout rod at an affordable price. Now, I don't know what that is, but I assume it's not $1,000. The moderate action provides the delicacy and accuracy needed for technical dry fly scenarios, yet packs enough power for big river and boat fishing. And if I look at that statement and I say, well, this is what we're judging this rod against, I think, yeah. They got it.
Yeah.
What could it be? Okay, number 3 in the dry fly course. Number 3 out of 24 rods. is Sage's classic R8.
Yep.
The classic R8.
I knew it would be in there.
I did too.
Yeah.
There was no doubt in my mind that that wasn't going to be in there.
Yeah, Sage says this classic is for an angler who wants to prioritize dry fly fishing, but appreciates the ability to throw a small streamer bin day when the fishing gets stale. In my mind, classic brings a level of versatility to the medium action category. It's an all-day dry fly rod. Classic is probably at its best standing in a river and casting at heads.
I just thought it was, liked the fact that I thought it felt smooth. It was something that I could fish a small technical dry fly with, but I could put a big hopper on it and have or a foamy or some sort.
That's a good point.
Yep, so that's what I thought about it too. It was one of those rods where you can pick it up, cast and fish all day and not think about what's in your hand.
Another note, it's a rod that actually aided the angler. I thought it was one that communicated well and helped us in the casting. Helped us.
Sage says it's an all-day dry fly rod. And to your point, I think that's a reasonable goal for a rod, and I think that they achieved it. I think you could cast this rod all day. And it probably is best at standing in a river casting at heads. I scored it higher at 40 and 50 feet.
I did too.
I thought it communicated a little bit better at distance than it did in close.
It did.
I did too.
But in close, hey, it made the casts.
Yes.
It did everything I asked of it.
But in the shorter casts, I graded it higher in the wind. That's one of
I
those
did
things.
exactly the same.
Yep.
It got a half point higher at 20 and 30 feet
Yeah.
when I had to cast in the wind.
That's exactly what and then when at 46, 50, it was the same.
You guys fish dry flies. You both guide on rivers where there's big fish rising and you use fine tippets. If your client showed up with this rod, would you be okay? We're going to be just fine.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we go to number 2, John?
Yeah, am I opening?
Yeah,
No,
that
no,
way,
no.
that way
No.
Whitney,
No.
Yeah, you get number one.
the
Absolutely.
champion, gets number 1.
All right, rod number 2. Here we go.
Now we're getting down
Now
to it.
we're just like, what?
We are getting down to it.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Number 2. Winston Air 2.
Yep.
Yeah.
Scored 157.5.
Wow.
So 6.5 points
That's
above
a
the
big
Sage.
gap. That's a big gap from the top
It is a
5,
big
4,
gap.
and 3.
I'm surprised in a way, but let's see what we all said about it. So here's what Winston says about the rod. It's a multi-application, fast-action workhorse. It's built to handle roll casting and nymph rig, gently presenting a dry fly, tucking a hopper under the bank, slightly stiffer and faster than the Pure 2. The Air 2 excels in a wide range of casting distances from 20 to 60 plus feet. It is a true to weight line on it.
Nice. I love when there's a true to weight line. I know it's a 5 weight. Now, I know a lot of rods are calling for a line size heavier, and I think they've made a good call on that. But this is a true 5 weight. Little effort to turn over a long leader on long and short casts. It was easy to find it to be accurate. And, you know, I had higher scores the further I got away from the targets. So the longer distances, I actually had higher scores.
They build it as a fast action rod. And at least to that extent, they accomplished what they set out for. This is a fast action rod. But I did not find it terribly unpleasant.
That's why I liked it.
You know, at 20 feet, it was fine. I could feel what's going on with it. It provided pretty decent feedback. I didn't feel like it was perfectly smooth through the whole range of distances. I scored this rod better at 40 and 50 feet too.
I think for me, it was, you know, I was excited to see a fast action rod that I could feel and that didn't beat me up. And that's what was exciting for me about it. And, you know, a lot of people love fast action rods.
I noted that the grip is very nice, both the diameter and shape. As I have mentioned countless times, the reel seat is too long. I would love to see that shortened a little bit. Winston telling us that this is a workhorse in their lineup, I thought, yeah, okay, I can see that. You set out to build a workhorse, I think you did just that. Again, it's not perfect through the entire range of distances, but it's good. It's good all around.
And better as you get a little bit longer.
Yeah, and I have it a little bit better in the wind. I don't know how you guys treated
Yeah,
that. But
I have 3 scores out of 4 as it's showing better in the wind.
I have,
So let's review that. What does that really mean? That means you can hammer on the rod a little bit more and to bend it just a little bit more, and it responded well to that.
I had it pretty much the same, except when I got to the 60 feet, and that's when I.
of course you did, because you are you. Yeah,
Okay.
I had the same as you, John. Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Okay.
And I meant that as a compliment, you know
Yeah,
that.
no, I know. I'm just.
Let's move to number 1.
All right, Whitney, here we go. What do you got?
Da, 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 da.
Number 1, dry fly rod.
Okay, I'm just gonna get the suspense a little longer. Don't-
What is it?
The
Air
Winston,
2, isn't it?
the Pure 2.
Oh, the Pure 2. That's
Yeah, the
Winston Pure 2.
Pure 2.
It is.
Yep, the Winston Pure 2.
I'll have to see what I thought about that rod. I can't.
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
The Pure
Was that what
2.
you were thinking?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Read about it for us.
This rod can handle longer casts, but really sings in the 15 to 50 foot casting range. The action is dialed for wider, open, controlled loops with enough stability to track accurately and make tough dry fly presentations. And the line is true to weight, and it won with 164.5.
Wow.
So,
Wow,
That-
7 full points.
yeah,
7
and
points.
it was one of the rods that we had that was designed solely for dry fly fishing.
Oh, you're right.
Right,
Absolutely.
so this was one that was solely for dry, it was a
Yeah.
specialty rod for different
We did-
specialties.
Yeah.
So that's why I would think it would win. You'd hope it win, right?
We didn't test for during the streamer course, and
But they also, it's one of the few that doesn't say, well, you could also put a streamer on this or some nymphs.
you know you can. Maybe it doesn't perform as well as they want it to, but you know you could do a lot of stuff with the rod. But yep, if a consumer really wanted to concentrate solely on dry fly fishing, I think this is one to consider.
Right, this is a specialty rod. And I think they did a good job.
I want to make a comment here. Before I give you my comments, just an observation, something that came to mind, because I paid attention to this rod casting, and then I watched you guys cast it. And I saw some really great casts made. And I'm slightly
Thank
off
you.
topic here.
No, I
but-
appreciate that, thank you.
But I think it's important to point out that a great cast is more than just a great cast. It is a victory for humanity against eternity. So remember that.
I've heard this before out
I
here.
have never heard that.
Okay, here's what I thought of the rod. I thought the grip was nice. It's good. As all the rods, the reel seat is too long. Shorten that thing. I thought it felt nice through the entire range from 20 to 50 feet. It was easy casting rod. It felt light in hand. It provided adequate feedback through the whole range. This is a rod that I scored basically the same whether there was wind or no wind. I didn't think that the wind mattered.
No, same with me.
I thought it met, and I made a note of this, it met the design parameters as specified by Winston, which is saying something, because a lot of rods didn't.
Which is nice.
Yeah, it is. All right, you guys, now look. John's out of his drink. I'm out of wine. You've already gone to water. We got to get something. So what do we think? Call it good?
I think we call it good. We have a big day on the water tomorrow.
The reason this invitational is both effective and legitimate is we're testing and evaluating these rods based on more than just distance and cosmetics. Any proper evaluation also needs to take into account overall performance, castability, accuracy, control, feel, and versatility. And after 2 full days of testing, All of our raters have definitely learned a lot about all of these rod models as well as about the testing process itself. Now keep in mind that in the dry fly category, we couldn't possibly include all 24 of these rods in this video. However, all notes, detailed scores and numbers and feedback are included in the study at yellowdogflyfishing.com, where you can view all of this online. So after 2 long days of indoor casting, it's great to finally get out on the water with these rods in real-world fishing situations. And the cooperative spring weather, well, it's made for a great third and final day for the rod evaluation. This on-the-water course is designed to replicate actual river conditions for nymphing, where roll casting and mending capabilities are essential for true performance.
Nice.
Once again, each rod is rigged using a specific manufacturer-recommended fly line. All are then fished with a 9-foot 4X leader, a size 8 Pat's rubber leg, and a size 16 beadhead pheasant tail dropper tied 16 inches below the larger fly. A BB split shot is then added 6 inches above the lead fly, along with a medium-sized Oro strike indicator to complete the nymph rig.
Roll cast at 30.
This rod's doing it for me. Aaron, I'm gonna give it a 3.5 on the roll cast.
Well,
That's fine.
the rod is slightly tippy at 40 feet.
The evaluation sequence begins with roll casts at 20, 30, and 40 feet, paired with mends at the same distances. Casters then finish with standard overhead casts of 20, 30, and 40 feet to round out the session.
All right, here we are again, you guys, our third night. I thought we had a great day today. This was the day we did the nymph evaluation on 20 different rods. And unlike the last 2 days where we had to spend indoors the entire day, we got out today on the Gallatin River, just outside Bozeman, Montana, and I thought that was really nice to get out and actually cast these rods on the water in a nymph fishing situation.
It was a
I thought
beautiful
great.
day for it too. It was really
was.
nice to be outside.
Yeah.
Worked out well for the nymphing drills. I thought we had the perfect run figured out to run through all those casts that we wanted to test the rods on.
Yeah, I think, you know, the streamer part of the drills and the dry fly, indoors was just fine for those. But the nymph fishing, I thought we really needed to be on the water.
A lot of it was water loading those casts in order to get the real feel for them.
Considering the fact that we have cast all these 20 rods, the previous 2 days as well, that my opinions were not as I expected them to be.
Nor
It wasn't
were mine.
straightforward.
You're right.
And the scores I gave a lot of these rods were unexpected. They changed. And I think that's very interesting.
Yeah, I found today a little bit more difficult than the other days. I don't know why, but I think
On scoring more.
on
difficult.
scoring, yeah, I found it a little bit more difficult. It wasn't as clear.
Why do you think that is?
I felt like a lot of the stuff kind of fished similar in some ways. It felt similar at the lengths that we were casting at.
No question. I made the comment on the water. I mean, when I'm nymph fishing, I'm thinking less about the casting, more about the fishing. I'm thinking a little bit more about depth, where these fish are, you know, and bugs and rigging up. I'm thinking way deeper into that range than I am trying to achieve a great cast. I'm trying to look for a drift. So we're using, oftentimes in nymphing, we're just trying not to make a bad cast. We don't want to get into trouble and get tangled up. We're trying to stay safe out there, so to speak, and keep ourselves in the game.
And you know, to that end, I think another thing that I always try to do when I'm casting indicators and nymphs or anything heavy is I'm trying to cast that rig as slow as I can.
Yeah.
Some of the rods allow for that. Other ones, it's not as comfortable doing that. And Same for mending. Some of the rods I thought mended a little bit better, and some roll cast better, and all the things that we need to do when nymph fishing. Yeah, and so I'm kind of anxious to see where our rankings are, but if you guys would indulge me for one moment, I just wanted to take a second to say what a rare pleasure it's been for me to cast alongside you guys for the last 3 days.
Well, that means a lot to me because, you know, we hold you all the way up, and a lot of what we've learned, most of what we've learned comes from you.
Yeah.
And other folks like you, people that you learned from. But, you know, this sport's about passing it on. And I don't know if we're going to go this deep into this conversation, but let's touch on it real quick. It's about sharing and passing it on. And thanks, John, for doing that.
It's been a great experience.
But we're only as good as our teacher, right?
Well,
So thank you.
yeah.
Well,
Thank you very much. You're very kind.
Let's don't go this deep, you
No.
guys.
Let's
open this.
let's get to some
Let's
results.
get into this.
Who's going first here?
I wouldn't have guessed this at all.
Do tell.
I do guess it was a great rod.
Do tell.
I can see through the paper.
It's a great rod,
It's a
and
great
finally,
rod,
I'm
yeah.
so happy it's
Echo
here.
Trout X.
The Echo Trout X.
Echo Trout X.
Yeah.
I
This
thought
is,
highly of the rod too. I remember
did too.
ranking it really well.
yeah.
We
so-
cast it pretty early on,
Let's see
didn't
what
we?
that is here.
I was like,
Yeah.
oh, thank goodness. Hello.
Yeah, okay, so let's see what they say about it. It's a top tier premium rod that would compete with anything on the market. Fair enough. It's a faster fly rod that is a quality all-around fly rod geared toward more advanced casters. I hope we qualify for that. Just a couple notes I had here. I thought the rod was just a tiny bit tippy. Certainly nothing horrible. I would have liked a little bit more feedback coming from the lower part of the rod. I thought that would have made the mending, the roll casting, and really even the overhead casting a little more pleasant. But certainly the rod got the job done.
It was a light rod, which I liked.
Yep, I comment on that too. Light, smooth, made it easy. I mean, what else do you need in that application?
Yeah, and I want to tie this into the dry fly and streamer course because they're telling us this is a quality all-around fly rod. Well, that was their goal for this rod, and I think they achieved it.
I do too.
They did a great job. You want an all-around fly rod? Here we go. I mean, streamer to dry fly to nymphing, above average fly rod.
For us, and above average, it's above average, right? And it's still a good rod, even though perhaps it didn't finish in the top 5 yesterday in the dry fly category. I would not have hesitated at all to pick this rod up or recommend this rod to anyone.
Likewise, I have this
Yeah.
rod scored above average in dry fly and streamer.
Yeah.
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 So,
I wanna
who
run
would like
four.
four?
Yeah, just
I think
because
we're gonna be trying.
boy.
I don't know. I don't have a guess on four.
I have no idea.
I mean, I had a pretty good guess last night, but
I don't either, John.
here we go. Okay, number 4. This is the rod I knew would come in the top 5. This is Scott Session.
Yep. I do too.
I had a feeling that would be in the top 5 for sure.
Yeah.
It's an all-around fly rod. It was designed to be medium fast. It's built here in the U.S. They call it the F-150 of fly rods. They must think highly of Ford, but I do too.
Hey, what did that rod score?
That rod scored on this course a 72. How about
So
that?
the Echo Trout X, 71.5.
So we're talking 0.5
a
points.
half a point
Right.
separates 4 and 5.
I mean, look how close that is. Somebody could have been off on going one way or the other, and
It wasn't me.
it likely wasn't me either. So
What are you doing? No, that's good. All right.
I did a lot of single spays and off-shoulder snake rolls, and I found it enjoyable.
oh, you did all that tricky stuff. I mean, we're just at 30 and 40 feet. I was just doing the standard.
Just like that. Well, it was changing. It was down there. I wasn't gonna go.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
you
I
see,
just-
you
I
know
was-
more than
Yeah.
us. So
I saw those
right.
stay casts you were making.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep. All
Just
those
because you're a little
variations.
better than us, you know.
Yep.
Yeah, that's so true. You're
Let's put it into a fishing scenario. We're gonna roll upstream. Looking all the way back through here, I knew this rod would score high. I don't know if it's come in our top 5 necessarily, but I know it's been in the top 10 every time. That's consistency.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
it is.
I loved this rod the whole way. I love the grip, I love the handle, I love the, I did not have any faults. I mean, in all of his scoring, whether it was short and long, yeah, it did better here and there, but not drastically different scoring. Very consistent. So if someone's looking for a consistent rod and they like Scott, I mean, this is one to consider. It's really great.
Yay.
All right, you guys, it's time for number 3.
Number 3.
Number 3, let's see what we've got going here. I don't really have a guess.
Nope.
I'll be looking at the back of that. Wow. Reddington Classic Trout.
You're kidding me.
Reddington Classic Trout. Number 3, which
Wow.
scored 72.5. So a half a point over number 4, which was a half a point over number 5.
I remember liking this rod while I was.
Oh, sure, it was likable, but it's crazy it's back in here, isn't it?
1 point has separated those 3 places. And I think we don't know ourselves, but I guarantee you from 5 on down, they're very, very close to. Reddington Classic Trout.
Let me turn to this. I know where it failed for me a little bit was when I lengthened out to 40 feet roll casting. It didn't do a great job for me at that distance, but everything shorter, it did good.
That's interesting. See, I felt it performed real nicely at 40 feet with a roll cast.
You did.
Yeah.
I mean, I have it above average, but I knocked it down a point.
Okay, well, I just have it above average too. It wasn't outstanding, but it was above average at 40. And I thought the full flexing nature of that rod really helped with the roll cast and definitely helped with the overhead casting and even the mending. You know, that rod contributed a lot. I thought it made my job easier.
I did too.
Whether that's true in a physics sense or not, that's my perception of it. That's what I felt. And certainly it was more enjoyable to
Yeah,
cast
I wrote bend helps with a positive turnover, and it was a positive turnover that didn't just drop from the rod because it had enough bend that some of the rods were so fast it would hear, and then your line would go like that. So this is where that bend's helping me, and it was consistent for
It was
me
consistent.
throughout. For me personally, throughout.
Throughout the whole range?
I thought so.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, like we said, we're all different, right? So.
Well, I mean,
So.
here's a rod that's been in the top 5 in all 3 categories. And this is the most medium rod action
Yeah.
out of the 26 we've casted.
Yeah.
The most.
Yes.
And here it shows up in the top 5.
Yeah.
We know cosmetically it's one of the poorest and lowest level. We also know it's heavier in hand.
Yeah.
It's clearly, it made our top 5 and still a very fine choice of rod. Yeah.
Well, you're going to open number 2 and then I get to open number 1.
Yay. Okay, number 2.
Here we go.
Oh, the Winston Air 2.
Winston Air 2.
Really?
Yeah, Winston Air 2.
I mean, I'm not surprised,
I'm
but
not surprised.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I thought it was a great rod.
It's
Let me get to my notes here.
73, you said, points?
73, 72.5 was the Reddington.
Boy, these are
It's
so
a half
close.
a point difference,
These
you
are
guys.
So
It's-
close.
A half a point difference.
Yeah, that's what we've been up against. You
Yeah.
know, we're dealing with a lot of nice rods. Hard to judge out there.
Yeah, for me, this rod has been consistently one that I can just relax with. You know, I love the taper. I love how smooth it is.
Yeah, okay, so look, Winston says it's a multi-application, fast-action workhorse. I can't disagree with any of that. It's built to handle roll casting and nymph rig, which we certainly did. Presenting a dry fly, turning over small streamers, we gave it high marks for all of that. It's slightly stiffer and faster than the Pure 2. Yes. These are the design parameters. I think they hit them.
I do too.
Designed for a wide range of casting distances from 20 to 60 feet.
And that's what we looked at, because that's what 5 weights do. This is a great rod. I scored it pretty even across.
I did too.
And I gave it a pretty high ranking. Actually, I did say that it felt better and closer as it got longer and further away. It came down a half point.
Mm-hmm. I don't really have any particular notes on the Nymph course, but Sumner, who was scorekeeping for me, wrote down here, John tangled.
I do remember that. It was your only tangle of the entire 3 days.
And trust me, it was a professional level tangle. I'm going to give it 3.5. Don't do that. Actually, look at that.
I can't believe what I'm seeing.
I'm pretty proud of that. Yeah, look at that. That's not easy to do. You got to do something seriously wrong.
John tangled.
Don't forget, it's got to go in. I didn't even know what happened. Next thing I know, I'm like looking at that, like, holy mackerel, that's serious.
I think they should call it the sleeper.
The sleeper.
Yeah, because I just wasn't expecting this. From day one, first time I picked it up to the streamer class course, I was like, what just happened? I really wasn't expecting it. Look at that. Did you see how easy that responded?
You were surprised 3 days in a row.
Yeah, sure.
One here.
It's a nice
for it.
rod.
You guys ready?
Well done. Please.
Okay, here we go. Number 1. And I do not have a guess on this. Do you guys?
No, I absolutely.
Wait. I thought the Air 2 had a shot at being number 1.
I did
So now that it isn't, I don't know. No.
I thought the Scott, was it the Session?
Yeah.
I thought that had a shot at it.
I did too.
Yeah.
What is this rod?
Oh, interesting. Good for these guys.
Really?
Okay, this total score comes in at 73.5.
No
So
way.
the separation
rod.
What?
from even 5 to 1, and I bet if we date back to 10,
What is it?
it'd be very close.
Do tell.
Okay, here we go. It's
We're
the,
like dying here. He's gonna kill us.
it's the Thomas
gonna
and
go to-
Thomas.
Wow.
Avant 2.
I always
Really?
liked that
Yeah.
rod. I
That's
thought
the
that
number
was
one
a
rod.
solid
Yeah,
rod.
I knew you'd like that rod. You've always told me that. It's a half science heavy rod, though.
Yeah. So,
They matched it well, obviously.
A half a point separated every place. And I think that's telling, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
there's very little separating these rods.
very little.
Not a surprise that it's number 1 here in this category, but it's been a great rod the whole way through this journey. And, I just had it above average on all scoring. I didn't have, really, I scored it the same through the whole way. So that meant a lot. And a rod can perform at 20 as well as 40 and all the different roll casts and everything you put it through. I mean, that's kind of what you want, and that's what a winner does.
Yeah.
It's not just great one way or the other. I mean, let's face it, you're always up against, you have your 1.5 weight in your truck. There's a lot of different waters and a lot of applications, a lot of weather conditions, seasons, states. I mean, you want something that just kind of runs the board, and this thing did it well.
T&T tells us it's a fast action technical trout fishing rod. It has the ability to handle small streamers, which we did, nymphing with indicators, obviously we did that today, and long leader dry fly presentations, did that yesterday. It's an easy to cast rod that is a jack of all trades workhorse. It excels in distances from 20 to 60 feet. Exactly where we cast it. I think with those parameters in mind, they achieved them.
I do too.
They did what they set out to do. So I had another comment about the Avant 2. So I downgraded it ever so slightly overhead casting at 20 feet. And the reason I did that is because it is a fast action rod. Did I have this at 2.5 overhead 20?
Yes.
Great. I wasn't getting a lot of feedback from the rod there. It felt a little clunky, like a brick on a string. The tip didn't really want to cushion that shorter distance, that little bit of mass that's out there. And so I just downgraded a touch there. But otherwise, you know, through all 3 days, this rod scored above average for me.
Yeah. I was up in the faster water, so I was using a spiral pickup to get all that weight up on my overhead, and I found that tip to be really responsive to that. So that's why I liked it.
So look, jack of all trades, they nailed it.
Yeah.
This rod, I don't know how it scored the previous 2 days. I don't remember.
I don't
But
either.
even if we know it wasn't number one either of those days, but that doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be number one to be a really nice rod.
That's
right. It does everything well. It's a jack of all trades, just like they set out to build.
Right. I think on day one it finished third for streamers.
Did it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
So all in all, really, one other comment, I guess, it's a half size heavy line. Is this rod really a 5 weight?
I don't know. I can't tell anymore.
it a
I have
6
to be
weight?
honest.
I don't know, are we going into this new thing where there's, you know, 4.5 tippet? We're gonna go 5.5 rods?
I don't know.
I don't know.
But
I can't.
the reason I raised the point is because,
Yeah.
you know, you think about is it the Air 2 that's true to weight?
Right. Yeah.
Well, that rod's up against a rod that's a half line size heavy. And guess what? That half line size heavy, that makes a difference when you're casting 30 and 40 feet with an indicator
does.
rig,
Yeah,
It does.
it's
right?
true.
And it almost makes it a comparison that I'm not sure is apples to apples, right? It's worth wondering about anyways, thinking about. So I don't know. But at any rate, I think it's a really nice rod.
I do too.
It does everything and yeah, deserved to be in first place here. Yeah. So, well, that kind of concludes our evaluation, you guys. We'll find out the scores on the rest of the rods later, but I just kind of wanted to hear what you guys thought about the whole project in general. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great opportunity to try a wide variety of rods and to see what is sort of the state of the art in 5-weight rod building.
I found it extremely educational. It was really a pleasure, and I learned a lot about rods, fly rods. Like, I didn't really ever think about it all that much. Intuitively, yes, but when it comes right down to it, no. Yeah.
Well, yeah, when you get 26 of these things that, you know, are on the market today for consumers, we all have clients in our fishing boats or walk wading with them or whoever, friends, family, asking us, what rod would you get? Well, you got to ask yourself, where do I fish the most? How do I like to fish?
Right.
And you might gravitate towards a rod that came in, say, 10 here. But you know, it scored extremely well at longer distances.
Well, look, you guys, I thought this was a wonderful project to participate in. It was really fascinating to see the results and a wonderful experience to do with you guys in particular. So
Yeah, thank you.
thank you for that. And
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Yes.
And I appreciate Yellow Dog putting this together.
I do too.
This was a lot of work.
Yeah, I think it's a worthwhile
Yeah.
project, and
I think.
should we close the books on it?
Yep.
Cheers, you guys.
Yeah, let's do it.
All of the data that's been gathered and created is available online at yellowdogflyfishing.com. That includes caster's notes, evaluations, and individual scores from all 3 of our judges for each and every rod model that was included in this invitational. Thanks for joining us, and remember, if you're looking to source your next rod or looking for additional information, give us a call at Yellow Dog or visit us online. We have all models of these 9-foot 5-weight rods available and in stock.